Hello there, I'm Bigalius. I apologise if you hear a rumbling noise. I'm making food. Okay, if you must know, it's curry. Alright, if that's what you need to know. It's a that's a little Jalfrezi number. I was watching a video from a channel that honestly shouldn't be for me. A channel that I shouldn't really enjoy. It's called, oh man, is it called Memeless? Did I steal my name? Have I stolen my name from another channel? Oh my god damn. Probably not. I think I made my channel in 2011. I think the guy was like probably 11 when I made my channel all those years ago. But he was talking about Gen Z versus Gen Alpha comedy and the memes, because I think he started out making like MLG videos and stuff like that, from what I can tell. Don't know too much about the guy, but I think that's what happened. And it was interesting, he was watching it saying, he found that Gen Z memes were still like garbage and stupid, but they had more context than memes now. And that made me think, there's a video I've wanted to make on this channel for a long time, and I want to make it now, and I want to kind of expand on what he was talking about, though I don't disagree. I do agree, and I think that someone who, I think he is Gen Z, would have more qualification to talk about this than myself, who is a millennial. I do want to expand on this slightly, so I'm going to go through the various genres of comedy from each generation, because it has changed from generation to generation, but I'm specifically talking about online stuff. And I'm going to do that in order to reach a conclusion on what Gen Alpha comedy is from my perspective. And this is something that I wanted to do in a previous video, and I finally want to seek out in this video. So Gen X humor, in my opinion, is very mean. The thing about Gen X and Boomers is that, okay, bear with me. You're going to have to bear with me with a lot of this. They don't find the internet funny. They don't think the internet's funny. They love using laughing emojis, but the internet's a very serious place for them. And even their memes are very like serious and mean-spirited and like nasty coded. And most of their memes and funnies, which you will find on Facebook, are about how bad a person they are and how they're trying not to be violent, but really struggling with that notion. It's typically them saying that they're either out of shape or they're unhealthy, and hey, isn't that relatable? Or they're just spending their day trying not to hit someone, or man, they just fucking hate their wives, dude. Screw the person who has to marry me. Angry. And it just makes them furious. They're just very incredulous, very angry, and very annoyed by things, until it gets to the racist memes, in which case they can have a good handshake and a good time with that one. Millennial, my era. Millennial memes, what are they? Well, they could be summed up, I think, by two terms, and those are hashtag relatable and hashtag awkward. Three, hashtag random. Yeah, random. Relatable, random, and awkward. Those are the three things that millennials found funny back in the day. And I think they're all things that can be subcategorized under the branch of quirky. I think quirky is the word to describe millennials in general, to be honest with you, as a culture. But in terms of the humor, it has to be like, hey, here's this thing, but what if it was slightly different and that happened abruptly? What if chicken nuggets? I thought you thought that Italian pasta alfredo, whatever the fuck it's called, I thought you thought that was classy, dude. I like nuggets, man. But the thing is, I'm saying this in a very sort of like derogatory way, and it is. I'm being derogatory because millennial humor is lame, and I can say that because I am one. But I said that in a derogatory way, but I think it's the birth of the path that we're on now, which is, a normal thing? I'm going to be slightly different. And I think that is the root of where we're at. And I think it's important that millennials were there for they helped sort of create the birth of social internet, and so I think because they experienced like sitcom after sitcom after animated comedy after sketch show, they experienced all of that. I think there was an immediate push to go, what if we head in a different path to this? What if we said, here's a normal situation, left field, and altered it slightly, and I think that's millennial humor, and I think that's why, like, okay, relatable doesn't really, fit in there, but awkward and random, like throwing a spanner in the works, throwing, piss into the cornflakes, creating a scenario that's slightly different to the normal scenario leads to that random situation and awkward because it's not where I thought the situation was going to go, and that's what I think millennial humor is. Plus, glasses that don't have the glass in. Okay, Gen Z, the current, well, what was the king of the internet? I think Gen Z took this concept and pushed it to its extreme limit, and it kept funneling, moving. You got to understand that the internet created endless streams of information, opinion, content. We experienced so much of what people had to say over the years due to this birth of social internet, and because we experienced so fucking much of it, of course, it just became oversaturated, overwhelming, and we had to do something different. And we had to not just head in a different path, like the millennials did with the sitcom era and what have you. We had to completely tear that shit apart. Beans. Yeah. And that's Gen Z comedy. We had to take the very concept of telling a joke and trying to be funny and destroy that, because we were telling jokes and trying to entertain people and trying to be funny for so fucking long, and when the internet came out in so many goddamn paths over and over again, the only way to be funny was to prove that you're not trying to be funny, and trying to be funny became somewhat of like a social online taboo. You are not allowed to try to be funny, you're not allowed to try to tell jokes, and the encapsulation of that and the amalgamation of that and the snowballing and everything building led to, we're just gonna fuck around. We're just not going to head in any path. We're not going to go in a straight line. We're not going to go left field. We're going to go over here and over here and over here and blah, 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 blah. And it just had to become completely nonsensical and random and weird and nothing. Like, it had to be nothing in order to prove that you were not trying. So where are we with Gen Alpha? How do I answer this question of what is Gen Alpha humor? I think Gen Alpha it's exactly what I thought it would be, and also not exactly what I thought it would be, in that we are continuing on the path of, like, it's not okay to try to be funny. It's not okay to try to make people laugh and tell jokes and stuff like that. But our approach isn't like a full stop or a semicolon or like, just like even more random than what Gen Z was. The approach is now to mock the very notion of trying to be funny. And that has led to what we saw in this memeless video. Memeless, I'm pretty sure it was, where it's just catchphrase over and over again. But we've boiled the joke down to, this was a word that we thought was funny for 5 minutes, and if I keep hitting you with it, if I keep doing that, then I'm making fun of the fact that people make jokes, and that is my joke. My joke is making fun of the very idea that this could even be a joke. So we end up with Ohio, skibbity, I don't know the rest of them, floobity, blubbity, blubbity, just like repeating these catchphrases that we know are dead. We know they're gone. We know that they've been buried into the ground and that they're meaningless now. They are utterly meaningless words at this point, and it has become so important as part of the joke to make sure that we understand that, and we're making fun of the very idea of using it as a joke. I find that really fascinating. I think the biggest indictment of this, the biggest sort of like example of this, is What the Sigma. It's not a joke, it's not random, it's not a joke turning in on itself, it's people. How stupid would it be if I just used the online term Sigma that people use a lot? That would be really dumb. Anyway, that's my joke. And that's it. That's it. Comedy for Gen Alpha is making fun of all other comedy. It's not just trying to make people laugh and proving that you're not trying to make people laugh. It's mocking the very notion of a joke. I find that very interesting. I think that's tremendously interesting, personally speaking. But I understand for anyone watching this, I'll be like, "What the hell are you talking about?" And I think that's one of the interesting things about it. Is Gen Alpha are going to look back and go, "I don't know what you mean. Like, what are you talking about? This is just how we tell jokes." And one thing I find very interesting is, where are we going to go next? I don't know. I have no idea where comedy could go from here, but I felt the same way from Gen Z. I thought, where would Gen Alpha go? And I suppose it will be quite interesting to find out. But ultimately, I will say, all things considered, I think it's, it was never good. Comedy is subjective, if that's where comedy is at. Look, we don't tell one-liner jokes anymore. We don't think they're funny. We don't think popping a dress on and joining the army, we don't find that funny anymore. We don't, it's all of these things that were funny in the 70s and the 50s and the 30s, buying a dead parrot from a pet store, that isn't funny anymore because we've done it. It's been done. It's not interesting. Comedy has to change. You could argue that it's evolving backwards and that's fine, but to be honest with you, have we reached a point where comedy is just passé now? Maybe. It was always going to happen. You can't be subversive forever. You cannot be subversive forever. Times change, and eventually we can spot every twist. Every plot twist is in front of us, and we know how we're going to get there. Anyway, I find that interesting, and if you do too, then leave a comment below. If not, I will see everyone later.
The PlayStation's only $149, and you can also get leading titles.